It is that time again, guys. Welcome back. Corrosive Bullet here. We are going to be going over the pre-Set 3 release meta tier list. We've done this before in the past. The last one we did was during the Set 2 ban list or post-ban list. And I think some things have kind of shifted around a little bit since I did that video. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Set 3 in this particular video. So just a bit of forewarning, or at least TLDR. This is just my opinion. This is where I see these leaders kind of sitting based off of my own experiences from testing and just what I've seen happen in the Set 2 meta, and just kind of messing around and having a good bit of fun. A little bit of a fun little video to kind of look back on and say, oh, well, I was right here, I was wrong here. We'll kind of see. But if you guys want to see more videos like this, let me know down in the comments below. But with that said, let's get into it. So we're going to go over all of the Set 1 and 2 stuff first, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the Set 2 stuff that's kind of happening. So first things first, Beerus. I'm thinking that Beerus is going to probably... I think he's probably going to be at like the bottom of best of, with maybe high on the meta side. So we'll do some shifting around here as we kind of like fill this list out. But I'm just going to put him in best of for right now, until we kind of fill this board out just a little bit more. Beerus is actually really good in terms of just controlling the board. The only thing that I think the Beerus kind of lacks in would be that his draw potential is not crazy. You have to be a bit conservative in terms of how you play Beerus in order to get the most out of him. That said, I mean, in terms of control in red, he's one of the best to do it. His matchup into blue is decent. He can still be on the back end when he goes up against blue, but I mean, he's pretty decent into green. He's a good answer to some of the higher end stuff that green's able to play. Beerus just trounces yellow in most cases. And in terms of black, we'll have to see how black kind of behaves going into Set 3. But I mean, there's a possibility that black could maybe shut red down just a little bit. We'll just have to kind of see and wait and see. New color, new play style, so it's a little harder to gauge where I think black is going to stand in the overall meta. But Beerus, I think, is probably one of the best, if not better, red leaders. Then we got Vegeta. I'm going to say that Vegeta is probably high tier meta. Being able to kind of... Sorry about that. I had to pause the recording here for a second. But yeah, Vegeta, I think, is going to be in the high-end meta tier. Vegeta is able to have explosive output in terms of damaging opponent or removing stuff off board. He's still able to utilize stuff like Sinister Sickle and whatnot. And with a lot of the Set 3 stuff that's kind of releasing, I think it's going to round out Vegeta pretty good and kind of give him a bit more going into the offensive aspect of what it is he's trying to do. That said though, he has a very heavy restriction in that you always need to be at 7 cards or fewer. And while there are options now that allow you to kind of filter your hand better, I don't think it's going to be as... I feel like Vegeta, in terms of that, just having to always be at 7 cards is going to be a bit heavier to manage than what it was in the first 2 sets. And I think that really kind of depends on the build aspect of it. But Vegeta, I think, is still pretty good for the most part. I don't think he's a bad leader at all. I think it's just a matter of there are other things going on in blue. That's kind of there's things that are happening in blue going into Set 3 that kind of shift around, and Vegeta himself didn't really get a huge abundance of support going into Set 3. So I think Vegeta will more or less be the same, with maybe a couple options here and there, and he'll still be pretty solid, but I think he'll be on the high end of the meta tier for the most part. Then we got Broly. Broly Set 3 didn't get any support. Broly doesn't have any new support that came his way. So Broly, I think for the most part, is going to be very reliant on a lot of the stuff from set 1 and 2. And on top of that, like, there's a couple things that in green that you could throw in the Broly deck, but it might slow down Broly to an extent. Really just kind of depends on how you build Broly. But I think Broly can still do some work. I think he can still push your opponent, or at least wall your opponent off decently enough. Like, I know sometimes yellow can have a little hard time getting over Broly's 25k power. So I think for Broly, considering that he got very little support next set, I'm gonna put him in the flex tier. I think he has the potential to shoot up to meta, in maybe like the mid to high area of meta, but depending on matchup, depending on build, he might be down to like a locals tier 2. It's all dependent on if you're able to see your curve and be able to ramp efficiently for Broly to really pop off, as with most of these green decks. But some green decks just do it better than others, and Broly unfortunately doesn't really have much in the way of being efficient in that. So then we have Cell. Cell is pretty good. He's very similar to Broly in the sense that you really need to be on curve and see your pieces and what you need to play like at the right time in order for Cell to really pop off. But when he pops off, he is very, very scary. Like, Cell Games Arena is so like intrinsically tied to this leader. Like, I feel like if you're playing Cell and you're not running Cell Games Arena, you're setting yourself up for failure. And while Cell has like a couple of options releasing next set that kind of make him a bit more efficient, for lack of a better term, I think Cell could actually be pretty decent. That said, I don't think he's one of the better. I think he's one of the better green leaders, but I wouldn't consider him the best. I would maybe put him maybe mid to low end of the meta personally. Like, it's like, it really, like I said, it really does kind of depend on like if you're able to see your curve. But considering that he is getting support next set, considering that there is there's going into next set, there will be multiple ways that you can kind of play the Cell deck. Like Ginger Town is now going to be more efficient because there's more Earthling options. Cell Games Arena will have more efficient ways of being looked at or searched and played because of 3-cost Android 17 that's coming out with set 3. So I think Cell will probably be on the low end of meta, maybe on the high end of flex. Just kind of depends on where you could see curve. Well, this guy, and then this guy, this guy has his own tier. Cooler's down the Cooler tier. Now, it's a shame because I feel like Cooler has something going for him that could really help him out. And it's the fact that the Meta Cooler teams are always going to be the Meta Cooler like deck is always going to be a meme deck. That said, with the Meta Cooler support that's coming out next set, Meta Cooler might only need 1 or 2 pieces to kind of get Cooler out of this tier. Personally, that Meta Cooler core, being able to play, you can combo, but you're basically able to combo 2 Meta Coolers, and then you're able to rest the core to be able to bring the Meta Coolers onto the board. You also have the blocker Meta Cooler that you could play. I think the Meta Cooler meme deck itself just needs a couple extra pieces in order to be considered feasible to maybe run at a locals level. But as it stands right now, Cooler is not really doing enough to really be able to warrant his usage at this point. And it's a shame because I think he's actually pretty good. So, all right, next we're doing the droids. I think the droids are probably the best green deck in the deck right now, or in the meta right now. Droids they are able to ramp so efficiently at this point. Just being able to on turn 5, on turn 4 even. No, it would be turn 5. On turn 5, being able to play back-to-back 4-cost ramp droids to get yourself up to 7 right off the bat, and then go into your 8 by like turn 6 is pretty good. It's pretty efficient. that combo also allows you to build wide and provide a bit of extra pressure going into your matchups. And the fact that like the droids at 6 energy is able to make themselves a 30k leader swing is very like destructive as well. Not very easy to get over unless you start investing cards into defending against them. So droids I think is really solid, really good. I would not be surprised if going into set 3, if the 4-cost ramp droids are going to get limited, just like Kefla got limited in set 2, because they are rampant. Droids are rampant right now in the online client, and yeah, they play on curve like they're top of the top. There's no besting them if you can play on curve and get your pieces played in the manner that you need to play it. So really good. I think they're really solid for what they are. Frieza, I would also consider being top tier. I would probably put Frieza. I'm gonna make a executive decision and say that Frieza is better than Beerus, but not better than the droid. Frieza has been given so much. The fact that Frieza is just a generic leader that doesn't really have any restrictions to what he's able to do, I think is like what makes Frieza as good as he is. The fact that like you can get the Majin Buu SR next set and throw that in a Frieza deck and like always be able to put him in active to not like risk having to lose him to discard cards to replay him. Just always having a sticky card that can't be interacted with, I think is going to elevate all yellow decks to a certain capacity. But Frieza is like still has access to the Ginyu engine. Frieza can still play a bunch of blockers to play more defensively. Frieza has access to the Majin Vegeta and the Buu that's coming out next set. There's a lot of hard removal extra cards that are coming out next set as well. Like Frieza is just going to be really hard to get over. So I will put him at top tier. Alright, we're back again. Sorry guys, it's been busy at the house today. So what were we saying? Yeah, Frieza's top tier. I would say Frieza's going to be top tier. Alright, next we go into Ginyu. I'm going to put Ginyu in flex. Now, that might surprise a lot of people, but if Ginyu can build himself wide and get himself like built up early enough, Ginyu is very scary. Depending on the player and who you're going up against, like you could see someone playing Ginyu to the point where it's almost like a meta tier deck, or you could be playing someone that is just not able to play efficiently and get down to locals. But I think Ginyu is like actually still surprisingly good, and the fact that like he's still getting support going into set 3, I think is a good sign. What would Ginyu even need to be able to play to be up at like the meta level? I wonder. Trying to think what Ginyu would even need. Maybe some semblance of like recursion. Maybe being able to like get some of your pieces back if they die. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I would definitely say Ginyu is probably a flex option. Not really like the greatest of yellow leaders, but like you could see him go up to meta. You could see someone play at like a locals level. He's very flexible. You could see him being in any of these slots, really, I think. All right, next we have Gohan. The problem with Gohan is that, kind of like Frieza, he's a very generic leader. He doesn't really need anything real specific in terms of like what his deck needs to be built like. His biggest issue, though, based off his leader ability, is that like you need to have something that's consistently on board that allows him to be able to utilize his ability without losing the energy that you place in there. And the only option he really has for that is the 5-cost Goku. And unfortunately, 5-cost Goku is really easy to get around now. He is not as sticky as he once was. And even then, like back in set 1, that Goku was not really all that sticky. And then the other issue being is that just like with set 2, set 3, Gohan just doesn't get support. He's not getting any like good support that's really able to like help him out. Maybe he can get some benefit from the Piccolo. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Maybe he can get some benefit from the Piccolo stuff in set 3. Maybe there's some stuff there that can help him maybe not necessarily need to use his leader skill. I'm not sure. The issue with Gohan, I think, is that he lacks an identity. He doesn't really have anything that's unique to him and has a unique playstyle that works for him or works off of him. So me personally, I don't think he's a 0. I don't think he is like not worth playing, but I do think Gohan's probably going to be at the locals tier. Something you'll only play at locals and not really try to take on the competitive level. I might do a little more testing with Gohan just to kind of see if some of the set 3 stuff works with him. But all in all, like I said, he's just not doing anything special that helps him to stick out compared to some of these other leaders. So yeah, unfortunate for Gohan, but it just is what it is. Then we got Goku Black here. Now, after the post-ban list, I had him at the best of because he was able to like really combat green since we kind of went back to like a set 1 meta for a good chunk of time. He can play really aggro and play really tall as well, compared to some of the other decks, and especially when it came to like going up against green, like he was just able to handle the big pieces a lot easier than some of the other decks in the game. Now, that being said, now that we're going into set 3 and there's a lot of stuff that's coming out with set 3, I don't think Goku Black is one of the best blue decks in the game anymore. I would maybe... Would he be... I still love this deck, but after playing with him a lot, I've been playing with him a lot, I think I'm going to have to put him at top end of flex tier. The biggest issue with Goku Black is that, A, set 3, he doesn't have any, he didn't get any additional support except for maybe the 2-cost Self-Awakening Crit Vegeta, which will help lean into his aggro playstyle. Or, his other issue is that a lot of his cards are searcher cards. So if you, and you guys know how I feel about searchers. Searchers can be a little lackluster. If you play a searcher and you are not able to find the pieces that you need in that moment, it really sets you back a turn or two. And so because of those two things, the lack of support and the fact that like he has the ability to whiff really hard, is what makes me put him in flex tier. Now, you could play perfectly, and you could see all your pieces on the searchers when you need to. You could be playing everything you need on curve, and he would definitely be put up into meta tier in that particular moment. But if you are not able to find those pieces and get on curve the way that you want to, he goes down to locals. So I would put him here at the top of flex. I think he's got a lot of range in terms of his playstyle, but it's just the fact that there's just better stuff to be playing, I think, going into set 3. That there's just better stuff to play. There's really no other reason outside of that that he would be in flex tier. So, Starter Coup. Starter Coup, I think, is really great and limited in draft and pre-release. He has some really good flexibility in terms of using his 5K. His 5K ability. You can use it for attack. You can use it for defense. I think he's got a lot of stuff here. But the problem with Starter Coup, much like some of these other, kind of similar to like Gohan down here, he's not doing enough. He doesn't have an identity really. You could build any red deck with Starter Coup as like your lead, and I think you would do fine. But the problem being is that, again, like he doesn't have anything that he's doing that's unique enough to help him stand out compared to other leaders that are going to be like in the format here. Like U7 as a deck is just all around better than Starter Coup, in my opinion. The sheer numbers that U7 is able to put out into the game, the sheer numbers that he's giving to all the cards on board makes U7 stand out more so than Starter Coup. So Starter Coup, I would probably say, is probably down at the low end of flex tier. And I'm also putting him there too, because from what we saw based off early reveals, the next starter decks are Daima themed, and red starter deck Daima Goku is doing essentially the same thing that this Goku is, just more offensively than before. He's +5ing something on your board and then -5 something on your opponent's board, which I think is just all around better and has more utility. So I'm going to put Starter Coup at the bottom of flex tier. You could still do some work with Starter Coup. It's just there's other stuff that's better than he is, and there's stuff coming up that I think just outright replaces him. And yeah. Now U7 I think can be very scary in the right scenario. U7 can build extremely wide. Putting 5k on every U7 card once awakened is a lot of extra power that your opponent is just going to have to like do mathematical gymnastics in their head to kind of get around. So the fact that and also the fact that like you got 1-drop Frieza, which is really good. You have 1-drop Margarita that's coming out next set that can just bolster up every single card that that U7 helps to run. Gohan from set 2 is a 30k swinger. You got there's the new draw, and there's the new 3-cost draw Goku for when you are 30,000 or less. That is a prime card for U7, and it helps to facilitate just keeping your hand, stacked. So yeah, I think U7 is like really solid. Now where I would put him in the meta tier, as far as where I would put him in the meta tier, if Cell is able, I don't know if he outright beats Vegeta. Vegeta plays pretty aggro. That said, if Cell gets his pieces, Cell is definitely better than U7, I think. It's kind of a hard matchup. I think I would put... I think this is fine. I think Cell has the potential to maybe outbeat Cell, maybe. That's hard to say. I think I'll leave it at this for right now. I'll leave it at this right now, I think. Yeah. U7 I think is really good for an aggro playstyle and playing more mid-range. But Cell I think is just going to be recurring so much health and wiping out the board so consistently against U7 that it's just enough to kind of push him above U7. So then we got Top Coup. I don't think Top Coup is quite cooler tier level. During set 2, I would probably argue that yeah, he was cooler tiered, but Top Coup now has a couple extra options that are releasing in set 3 that maybe, I said this I think in the last one, there's a possibility that Top Coup could be pretty good if you play him more tall as opposed to playing him wide. I think there's an argument for that, but it really just kind of depends on what the rest of the meta is kind of doing. That being said, is he better than Gohan? Probably not. Gohan's a weird deck because he doesn't really have like much going for Gohan, but he is green, and green is able to play some pretty nasty stuff. So I don't think there's any reason to believe that Gohan is just better than Top Coup. We'll have to see. Maybe after some testing with Top Coup, Top Coup might actually be better than Gohan. Maybe he'd be a flex option on the lower end, but as I kind of see Top Coup right now, I think he's kind of sitting at locals. He's better now that he has a little bit of extra support coming next set, which doesn't necessarily put him down at cooler level, but he's not doing enough, I don't think, or has enough options to really like justify using him over other red leaders. Then we got Trunks. Trunks is getting a lot of Earthling support next set. I would maybe argue Uh, I think Trunks might be a little bit. Trunks might be a little better than U7 Goku. The fact that he's getting the 4-cost Gohan, that's basically a Sinister Sickle. If you're able to play that on curve, around that Gohan, like you don't necessarily need to be running sickles in that deck, which helps with board clearing. You got the Videl, which is basically like 3-cost recursion, or it's a 2-cost recursion card, better than Pilaf, being able to find 3 costs or less Earthlings. That's also able to swing for 20k. Trunks got some extra time machine support with a new Trunks that's able to bottom deck himself as well as an opponent's card, which could be a very fun build and playset. I think Trunks might actually be pretty good next set. I don't think he's going to be on the higher end of the meta or even best of, but I think you could probably have some fun. And we'll see a lot more of the Trunks in rotation than we did this past season. So Trunks seems like it's good. He's getting a lot of support next set. Earthling support has become very abundant going into set 3, and I think this is fine. I think I could see this. Then we have Vegeta. I think Vegeta's actually going to be pretty solid next set. I think I might be putting Vegeta above Cell in this regard. Once again, just having extra cards like Time Rewound and stuff helps him. He's getting a new 3-cost Vegeta that basically boosts him up to 25k on your defensive turn, which is really good. Basically makes him a 25k defender. He's able to run the Majin Buu. He's able to run the Majin Vegeta, which has a bunch of KO potential and staying power. I think Vegeta, like last set during set 2, was just missing a lot of stuff to really kind of help him stand out. But now that he's kind of getting the stuff he kind of needs to stick around, I think Vegeta's actually going to be pretty solid going into set 3. So we'll kind of have to see. But yeah, I think this is pretty. I think he's pretty good. And last from the set 1 and 2 stuff, we got Zamasu. Zamasu is Zamasu's doing quite a bit. Where would I put Zamasu? Would I put him flex? The thing with Zamasu is that you play more defensively with Zamasu than you do offensively. You're basically blocking as often as you possibly can to not will yourself down to Awakening, because he loses his draw on Awakening. But he can still make use of a lot of the stuff that other blue decks are using. Like, skill-less Zamasu supposedly is really good from what I've seen players like talking about. You could still run a lot of the Goku Black stuff in Zamasu to kind of have him stand out a little bit in terms of like in being supplying that offensive pressure. I think Zamasu might be on the lower end of meta. I can't say he's a flex. I think he's better than being a flex option. He's definitely doing what Broly wants to do, just better, in my opinion. But it really does kind of depend on your build. I think he's fine. Yeah, I'd say he's up here. I'd say he's up here in the meta tier, personally. All right, now we are going into the set 3 stuff. So we're going to start with Piccolo. Piccolo is a wild card. He's a heavy wild card. He can put out numbers really good. And I think that if you play Piccolo the correct way and the right way, I think that he could be a very scary green leader. Being able to swing twice for 70 to 110,000 power, I think is extremely scary. And then you can use that 110,000 power potentially to not only go after lead, but you could also use that to clear some really scary stuff on board. Like, he's basically, this Piccolo is basically, or he can be, a Broly. He's basically Broly, but as a leader, being able to swing twice, draw twice. On leader, if you're swinging into leader, let me clarify that. Some people got a little snippy with me because they thought I was saying that he could draw on battle card defeats, and that's not the case. I think Piccolo can be a very strong powerhouse, and he has a lot of decent support that kind of helps him to get there. The problem I think for Piccolo though is going to be that how is he going to be able to ramp efficiently? You can still run destructive strengths. You can still run the new like Gohan destructive strength card that's coming out. You could probably run. The 5-cost Turles. The way I've always just saw this Piccolo through my testing is that you want to play him more mid-range. I don't see any reason for you to play the 8 drops in Piccolo unless for like just in case scenarios. Because spending the 8 energy to play like a Broly or a Cell is gonna really I think will really hurt like his like playstyle. You want to have optimize your energy output as best as possible. I'm gonna put him in flex tier. I think I'm gonna put him below Ginyu for now. I think there's a possibility he could be meta, or he could be locals, depending on how you build him. I think there's so many different ways that you could build this Piccolo to have him work in your favor that it really does kind of make him the ultimate flex option. He could be really scary and play into the top meta stuff, but he could also flounder and really like be down here with some of these, for lack of better words, losers. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna put him in flex tier. Bardock, I think, is gonna be pretty solid. Being able to swing for 25k, potentially 35 to 60, depending on how you draw and what support cards you're playing with him. The problem I think with Bardock is that he has a very heavy restriction on Bardock's crew, and how many black Bardock's crew cards are we going to get down the line is the question. So I can see him going into set 3 being part of the meta list here, but there's a possibility that he's going to fall off really bad going into set 4 and set 5. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm going to probably put Bardock. I'm going to put Bardock above Cell, but below the Vegetas. This Vegeta is just able to do what Bardock's doing, but I think better and more efficiently. Maybe I would put him above this Vegeta since he can only really be defensive on 25. No, I'll put him down. I'm gonna do this. I'll put him right in the middle. I'll put him right in the middle of the meta tier list. But yeah. And with that being said, as much as I hate to say it, and as much as I'm going to stand the Bardock deck, because Bardock's crew has always been one of my favorite decks to play, I have a feeling that Super Saiyan 4 Goku is just going to be the better black leader, and I'm going to put him up in best of. The fact that he's able to make any battle card of his a 30, like bump him up 10 to 15,000 power permanently, creates some pretty strong combos that you can actually throw out. Like the 3-cost Bardock that's able to double swing, you can make that Bardock go up to 35k. He's a double 5k dual attacker that's able to draw one time on play. You got the secret rare, which the secret rare is probably the best secret rare in the game just because of how much it's going to balance out how you get that energy marker back. I just think this Goku is just better than Bardock. Just outright. As much as I hate to say it, it's just there's more that he's a better generic leader, and I've been saying at a decent amount of time over the course of this video, the more generic the leader, the better, because not only does it keep you more viable for longer, but it allows you to build the decks in a multitude of ways. Whereas the Bardock leader, you're really only going to be able to play a certain way because of his restrictions. So, but I think Black's going to be a powerhouse going into this set. Black is just doing everything that every other deck is doing, plus energy marker recursion. So, yeah, that's my stance on Black. We'll see if that ends up staying true or not. But, and then we got Goku here. I think Goku's gonna be best of. He might be the best leader. Being able to just play defensive and boost himself up by like 10,000 to make him a 30,000k defensive leader. The fact that he's got so much cycling in hand, and excuse me, he's got a lot of cycling that he can do from the deck and in hand. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in set 3 that's going to bolster him up in that sense. The only thing that I'm curious of is that Satan City as an archetype is not a great archetype in and of itself. So how much of the archetype is going to hold this guy back or not is the real question. That will have to wait and see. But in terms of what he's doing as a blue leader, he's doing exactly what blue wants to be doing. He wants to be able to cycle your pieces from your deck, top and bottom, whatever it is that you need or don't need in that time. Being able to kind of filter your hand to have what you need when you need it. The field card will help him to play stuff for cheap. Obviously, you got the 4-cost Gohan. You got the Videl. You could still play the Vegeta 5-cost and the 3-cost if you really wanted to. Yeah, I think again, I think that this Goku's going to be decent. I don't think he's going to be hurting all that bad. All right, Jiren. Jiren is a weird point of contention because Jiren has some good stuff that I think is going to make him really stand out and be unique as a red deck. Being able to like only be able to take 1 damage, not forcing double strikers. Like you can't take double striker damage once this guy awakens if you have 30Ks on board. He has access to a lot of 30Ks on board as well. The problem being is that Jiren gets shut down by blue really hard. He gets shut down really hard by blue. Sinister Sickle, the Gohans, being able to bounce stuff back on board. And unfortunately, his battle cards just don't have the staying power against blue to really stand out against blue. But that being said, he could be a fun deck. I don't think he's bad enough to be down in flex. Probably on the lower end of meta. Maybe... Would I put him here maybe? Above U7 maybe? Maybe below U7? Because U7's able to swing like pretty often. But like Beerus is able to minus him off board. Frieza can just kind of like yellow decks can just kind of freeze them down, and then they have hard removal now too. So Jiren doesn't have that much of staying power in that regard. Yeah, I think I would probably put maybe I'll put Jiren a little bit above. Maybe I'll put him there, maybe there. Maybe I'll put him here. Trunks, I think is going to be a good matchup against Jiren just for the fact that he has as much control as he does. But if Trunks can't find the stuff he needs to be able to control the bigger pieces in Jiren's deck, it could be a problem for him. Same with Bardock. If Bardock's not able to combo tall like he's supposed to, like he may have a hard time getting into Jiren's life pool. Really just kind of depends. We'll have to see. But Jiren, I think, will be a very interesting red deck to play. May even be one of the better red decks. But I'm going to go with this. Then we got Majin Buu. And as much as I hate to say it, I think Majin Buu might be top end of locals. The reason I put him at the top end of locals is due to the fact that while a lot of stuff that's coming next set is going to be very beneficial for yellow as a whole, the problem stems with the Wicked Soul and Evil Wizard package that comes with Majin Buu, and it's not good. It is not good. It's a very situational like way to play. You have certain cards for certain. The way that I've seen this deck, I haven't done testing on Majin Buu just because the leader itself doesn't interest me all that much. But the way that I always saw this Buu was that you have your 2-cost pieces that you play on curve, and then you have your 2-cost pieces that you play off of leader ability. And unfortunately, a lot of the 2-cost cards don't do enough to facilitate or warrant playing them off ability. So, like you could play the, what is it, is it the Pui Pui? Yeah, the Pui Pui card that removes the field card. That could be good playing off of leader ability, but it's very situational because not every deck is going to be running a field card. But like 2-cost Spopovich doesn't really do much for you except on curve. 2-cost Deborah is a blocker that like is okay. It's not great. Like you can get around 2-cost blockers, 20k blockers like with ease nowadays. Just the Buu is not doing the archetype itself surrounding Buu is not doing enough to warrant really playing him. Now I think he's gonna have a very fun play style, and it'll probably be a lot of fun to run at like your locals. But is he going to really stand out outside of the SR Buu and the Barrier Buu and the Majin Vegeta? I don't think so. I don't know. But all right, that's gonna do it for this one, guys. That is our pre-release prediction for how set 3 is going to go. Let me know what you guys think here. What is the deck that you guys are going to be running going into set 3? What are you looking forward to the most? Let me know down in the comments below. Sorry for the long video, but yeah, these videos are only going to get longer as the sets kind of release. So, but all right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you guys again, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace.